G'day, my name is Peter Coco and this is Vleppo. I'm just here with Ben Fairbank, General Manager of Komodo, and we're just going to run through some Q&A session. We'll kick off with Rapid Fire 60, just 8 questions in 60 seconds. Strap yourself in, mate. Hopefully, hopefully this goes well. Can you
Okay, here we go.
No worries. Can you describe your company in 10 words or less?
End-to-end platform for platform, scalable, secure, private, language agnostic.
What single word best captures your company's ethos?
Innovation.
And what's your company's greatest success so far?
Crypto conditions contracts, smart contracts.
And what's been your company's greatest disappointment so far?
Not being able to verbalise our full product offering suite.
Common problem.
Yep.
What makes Komodo unique?
The fact that it is end-to-end, a platform for platforms. So a platform can build on it and do that from end to end.
And who would you say is your greatest rival?
We don't really have anyone that's exactly the same thing. I'd say legislation is the greatest rival.
Yeah, and how? Well, the next question is how would you beat them?
I think what we do is we try and always is provide offerings that would comply with what we think is going to happen in the market.
Yeah. Okay. So forward thinking.
Yeah.
No dramas. Sorry, there's another question here that slipped over the page. So what does success for Komodo look like?
Mass adoption.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for that, mate. What we might do is we'll just sort of move into some general questions. This is more designed to provide people who have never come across Komodo or have only just cursory glanced at it, just a bit of background around what you guys are up to. So can you provide some background to Komodo that may help people who don't know anything about you or understand what it is you do?
Yeah, sure. So it's, as I stated before, it's a platform for platforms. So it's an opportunity for people to come along and actually build their own platform that's scalable, secure, private, language agnostic. I think the interesting thing about the platform is that we have solved a lot of the problems with scalability and a lot of the issues that a lot of the other blockchains do have. The reason being you can actually have entirely your own blockchain when you build with Komodo. So you're not actually dependent. It's not like a side chain where if Ethereum gets clogged up, then you're clogged up. It doesn't have a lot of those legacy issues. So you get your own blockchain, but you still get the benefits of being in an ecosystem.
Okay, and I suppose rolling from that into, what's Komodo's unfair advantage over its rivals? From what you're saying there, scalability, which is the number one thing that seems to kill most people.
Yep.
You'd say that's the guts of it?
Yeah, for sure, because we're about to go with AWS through a process of doing 1 million transactions a second, and that can be done due to the fact that it is sheer scalability. The privacy and the security. We also have the delayed proof of work, which has been the first proper method of 51% attack defense. So we've got a lot of good stuff as far as robust technology is concerned. It's just now someone's got to come along, pick it up, and actually build on the code.
And I suppose that then leads to the next question, which is, what areas are you focusing on at the moment to drive Komodo forward? Probably to drive that adoption piece.
The crypto conditions contracts, which basically mean that it's a smart contract, if you will, for any type of protocol coin. So any blockchain can come along and create a unique set of actual parameters that are different to a smart contract. For example, on the smart contract, if you want to catch an Uber, it would cost you $10 for an Uber and $50 to execute the gas if you set up all the different exceptions. Whereas with a crypto conditions contract, you can have a lot of permutations and no gas. So you pay $10 for the ride and a couple of cents for the execution. So we've really cracked and solved a very needed problem.
That sounds amazing, and it's interesting. In our research, we were pulling apart the value proposition from Komodo, and certainly I think the gas price is always a bit of a weird one out there in crypto world because it seems to be this unquantifiable thing that crops up out of nowhere, and the next thing you know, hang on, I've saved $2 on a pair of sunglasses, but hang on a second, it's just going to cost me my liver and my spleen to be able to pay for the gas.
Exactly.
So what you're basically saying here is that you've managed to put the infrastructure in place and the solution in place such that businesses could enter into or create these transactions or generate these transactions with a degree of confidence around what that gas looks like, and obviously drive the
Sure.
transaction down. That's in a nutshell
Yep.
where it's going.
In a nutshell, yeah, because there is no actual gas cost. And I mean, the other thing is that with a smart contract, you're pretty much doing one thing. Whereas with a crypto conditions contract, you're doing as many layers as you like.
Okay.
And the good thing about with a smart contract, if you hack a smart contract, everybody inside of that smart contract can be drained of their assets.
Yep.
Whereas with a crypto conditions contract, it's isolated, so you cannot impact all of the people that are involved.
Okay. That sounds really interesting. Just the good people of our research team like to weigh in on these things too. So they've asked some pretty curly questions here. What is the end goal of Komodo, and what has since been the hardest part of the roadmap to achieve?
Yeah, definitely. Satoshi's original vision of mass adoption, trying to make blockchain available to as many people without those inhibitions and without the issues of adoption that come along with it, whether they be cost related, scalability or security. So it's just an honest vision is to make sure that we can get this in as many people's hands as possible, and think of us as like a Grab or an Uber in the sense that we provide the technology. What you do with that technology and how you use that is entirely up to you. So it's kind of almost like the Linux blockchain.
Okay.
And I think the biggest difficulty, as you said, the second part of the question is the biggest difficulty is trying to explain something that's this diverse when it's at code level. It's very hard to explain to someone what the finished product looks like when it is dependent on what you want to build. So it's like the way I describe it is it's like saying you've got watch pieces all over the ground and someone needs to come along and put the face and the band on it. So people are saying, well, what is that? And we're explaining the part, when in actual fact, by explaining the watch and the face and how it works, is kind of limiting what it does. So it's a very broad thing to try and explain. It's up to you what you build on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I guess that's the difference. I was thinking about this actually a couple of days ago around digitization versus innovation. This might be a slight segue, but digitization is largely taking an existing framework and make it sort of optimizing and speeding it up. But most people are pretty comfortable because it's based upon an existing transaction style or an existing framework. When you really move into pure innovation, though, where you are completely disrupting the fabric of a transaction and completely redefining it, you've not only got to explain the building blocks of that supports it, but then you have to articulate a completely different, use case is the wrong word, but a completely different process. And it's always done at a very conceptual level. So the communication around that can be really, really tricky.
Well, we can kind of we can simplify it to the point where we're built on Bitcoin protocol, but yet we use ZK snarks for privacy. So what Zcash did. So we've got some elements of things that are definitely very familiar. But what we've done is we've actually found ways to make Bitcoin scalable and secure, and to try and make that. So being a language agnostic, it means that you can come along with Java or you can come along with any language that you prefer, and you can actually confidently know that you can build on it because it's our code base is built on C and C.
Recording quality is struggling a little bit here at the moment. So I might just move on to the second sort of question here, which is our research has only pointed out a brief description of super net revenue model. But there's no concrete information around Komodo's revenue model. Can you provide some context around the revenues?
Yeah, so basically it was to build out the platform in the beginning, and now that platform's been built out and we do have offerings, we've got the delayed proof of work, which we talked about. That's very expensive for other chains. Now we've got things like companies like Einsteinium and other projects that are now coming across and saying, can you protect our platform against the 51% attacks? So we sell those, and then you have to notarize those back to the Bitcoin blockchain. So we charge projects to be able to do that. We had the foresight a long time ago to put up the required Bitcoin fees for the next 8 years, which is why we did our raise. And now, now that the price has shot through the roof of Bitcoin, we can now sell that service to other projects. We also have the ability now to sell these crypto conditions contracts, and how we do that is we can build out projects for people. So, for example, you come along and say, Vleppo wants to build out a project that does this. We can crypto conditions contracts, and we can actually gather for you, and we can charge you for that. So we actually have quite a few different models that have emerged based on the fact that we can actually now provide you with your own blockchain as a service.
And presumably the charges you'd have upfront sort of charges and an ongoing trail.
Yep.
Yeah, that would fall out the back.
Yep. Yeah, so basically you've got a network charge, so that's the type of charge that we charge to write back to the Bitcoin blockchain, and then you've also got the integration costs, because it takes up to 100 plus hours to integrate, especially a native token. So it's easier for our own tokens that are that we're familiar with, but if someone comes out and says we want to do it on an Ethereum token, it takes a fair bit more integration. So we charge for the level of integration as well as also the standard notarization fee, and then that's also a yearly fee that's ongoing for people that want to notarize back to Bitcoin blockchain.
Okay.
What it does, it might bore you, but just for context sake, every minute we take a snapshot of your blockchain, and then we write those back to the Bitcoin blockchain, so that you've got a backup of your data on your blockchain. So it's a very good way of making sure that these don't get attacked. So we can always back up your chain, so it stops you having to do rollbacks and makes you less vulnerable to those 51% attacks. Solves a big problem.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody would appreciate that problem until they're actually faced with it. And it's one of those things, right? When you're staring down the barrel of having to do a rollback, it's a pretty scary experience. So,
well, if you look at Einsteinium and Game, and the tokens and coins that have like a gambling or gaming or any type of high frequency of customers, they're easy targets, and people prey on those types of chains. So we expect that we're going to have to price ourselves to a point where we almost price ourselves out of the market, because we're not going to be able to keep up with the demand. So I mean that we know this will be a major revenue stream for us.
Well, mate, at the end of the day, the value's obvious. So it's going to set in that price point so that you don't end up with your mouth over a hose in a lot of ways. So
exactly. And then you've got setup of chain. So when a new company comes along and says, I want to start up in blockchain, sort of things that we can charge for in the setting up of a new blockchain as well.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Just at the foundation of Komodo, what is the societal issue that Komodo was aiming to solve through the privacy ecosystem?
Yeah, I think honestly speaking, a lot of people associate privacy with being dodgy or something that's a little bit untoward. But what we've tried to do is make sure that we are actually giving people the freedom to be able to make the decisions that they want to make, and to be able to build what they want to build. There's a lot of what we have to take into consideration is that laws differ from country to country, and we're not playing in an environment anymore that's just related to the US or just related to China or Japan. So what we've tried to do is give people the access to that privacy, and it's there to be utilized if they want. But the good thing about it is we've now brought out blockchains that don't have the privacy element as well. So you can choose whether you want it to be fully private or public, or a combination. And the thing is that even with the private chains, only about 2% of all transactions are done in privacy anyway. 98% of them are done publicly. But we just want to give people the opportunity. I mean, it's your right to choose.
Yeah. Okay. How can Komodo compete with post-blockchain reiterations of blockchain security and scalability?
I think it's a matter at the moment of people trying to keep up with what we've actually been able to do, being able to do this independent chains, and with the scalability that we've currently got. We're about to literally through AWS, we'll be able to physically have an endorsed record of where we're currently at, and once that's achieved, it's up to 100 times faster than the majority of the chains, and that's the very, very fast one. So ultimately speaking, we are the front runner. We are open source, so people can take that technology obligation to keep innovating.
Yep. The Komodo rebranding initially stated that it is due to the emergence of Komodo 2.0. What are some of the core attributes of Komodo 2.0?
Komodo 2.0 is all based on the crypto condition smart contract. So this was something that's been in the works for a long period of time, and it was a matter of saying, hey, we're a platform that can now do smart contracts for any protocol of coin or any blockchain. So the core of 2.0 is on a crypto condition smart contract.
So what is the relationship between Iguana
Sorry
Core?
about that.
Nah, mate, look, it's, we can solve the problems of the world, but I tell you what, yeah, I know, you just can't win sometimes. Oh, crikey.
Yeah.
So what's the relationship between the Iguana Core technology and the initial project on NXT SuperNet?
Yeah, there's actually no relationship. There's
Okay.
actually no existing relationship. Basically, our founder and lead coder came from NXT, but ultimately speaking, there's no more ties or relationship there anymore.
Okay. And finally, what are the implications of the Komodo community within the development of the project?
That's a really good question. The implications of the Komodo community. So again, if you go back to the example of us being like Uber and a platform that offers technology, the community is vital in coming in and coming together and building. But what they build is up to them. How they build it is up to them. But ultimately, we provide that base layer, which allows the community to sort of come in and have free range to be able to work together and collaborate and come up with great ideas. And to be 100% honest, a lot of our innovation is coming from the Komodo community. So that's the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that you come in, self-serve, help yourself, pick up the code, build it out, and you will see things like Red Hat Linux come out with Komodo, and you will see a lot of these enterprise subscription-based and support-level companies come out that are all community-based, and they all come from Komodo's community.
Okay.
So it's already happening now.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, look, mate, that's pretty much all I have from a question standpoint. Just to give you just sort of the next steps from here. So we'll obviously take this information and then we'll just reconfirm our research on Komodo with regards to LVR and acceptability into our marketplace.
Sure.
And we'll be in touch. And I might just sort of rule that off there. No dramas at all.
Yeah, sorry about the internet. Apologies again, but thanks for nice to talk to a fellow Aussie.
Yeah, no, it's always a good thing, mate. Absolutely. Well, look, I'll let it go there, mate. Just for the
Best of luck, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Thank you.
See ya.